Hey everybody, this is a 2500 point battle with Lizardmen versus Dwarfs. This is deployment. My plan against the Dwarves is to sit back on the back edge of the table, let him come to me, throw some comments at him, take out his war machines, and hopefully pick off a couple points at the end of the game when he finally gets across the board. The biggest problem with my battle plan is that I don't have Comet of Cassandora yet. I do have a Slan with high magic, so I'm going to try to cast garbage spells and trade them in for heavens until I get the Comet, hopefully sooner rather than later. And then I can hopefully win this game. So I've got here deployed in the back my two blocks, Saurus Warriors and Temple Guard. They're facing off two of the Dwarf blocks. I've also got over there an Old Blood and Scarvet on cold ones. In the middle of the board, I dropped my three Skink Skirmisher units. The farthest back unit has my Slam Mage Priest in it. And I've got a unit of cold ones facing off with his warriors, and my BSB is in that unit, and a Salamander is sitting over on this flank as well. The Dwarfs dropped their Rangers off on my flank, and meanwhile, off on his flank, I've got 5 Chameleon Skinks. His deployment, he's got a big unit of Dwarf Warriors with great weapons, Thane and a Runesmith, Dragon Slayer, a small unit of Quarrelers. In the back, he's got a Flame Cannon and Organ Gun. Then he's got his 2 main bricks. He's got Hammers with his General and Longbeards with his BSB. Then a unit of Quarrelers and another Dragon Slayer. Dwarfs win first turn, and right off the bat, his Organ Gun shoots off 5 of my Skinks. Then his Rangers take out 1 Skink Handler for my Salamander, and his Crossbowmen shoot at my Old Blood, but my Old Blood has a 1-up rerollable 4-up ward, so they don't do anything. My turn. My Old Blood fails his stupidity test, so he just wanders forward a couple inches. The Scarvet runs forward as far as he can. I move up my Saurus Warriors a little bit. I keep them out of the 30-inch range of the Organ Gun. The Temple Guard stay where they are, and you can see here my Skink Priest is in that unit, so if they do get shot at, hopefully he'll be safe. In the middle, you can see I pulled back my Skink Skirmishers. I didn't want them to keep getting shot at by the war machines, and they're just going to hang out until there's no more 30-inch threat in the middle of the board. The Chameleon Skinks moved up, and they're going to try to shoot at the Dragon Slayer, and if they survive long enough, hopefully they'll get into the war machines and start picking off some wounds on them. And the Cold Ones and Salamander turn to face the Rangers, so hopefully I'll be able to get rid of them pretty quick. In the magic phase, I cast Hand of Glory on my Saurus Warriors, give them +2 movement, and I trade that in for Lore of Heavens, and I don't get the Comet, so I go for the signature spell, Ice Sharp Blizzard. Salamander gets a perfect shot off on the Rangers, kills 6 of them, and they're going to fail their panic test and run off the board. And turn 2. The Dwarf player figured out that I wasn't moving forward at all, so he starts advancing his blocks towards me. On this flank as well, everything moves forward. His Quarrelers shoot at my Scarvet. Once again, don't do anything to his 1-up armor save. The flame cannon decimates my chameleon skinks. They leave one alive. He passes his panic test, and he's just going to run off into the woods and hide for the rest of the game. On my turn, the Scarvat charges the Dragon Slayer, and he gets in. I move the Saurus Warriors up a little farther, still keeping them out of range of the organ gun. Salamander and Cold Ones turn and advance towards the Dwarf Warriors, and I spread out my skinks a little bit more. Magic phase, I cast Drain Magic on the Temple Guard. It does absolutely nothing, but I'm able to forget, and I roll for Heavens and get Kameg. So now I can go forth with my battle plan. My Salamander gets another great shot off on the Dwarf Warriors, and he kills 2 of them. In combat, Scarvat and the Dragon Slayer just kind of wave their weapons at each other and don't do anything. And then turn 3. The Dwarf Warriors charge my Salamander. I opt to flee with him. So he redirects into my Cold Ones, who have to hold. And he fails his charge, just like I planned, and stumbles forward a little bit. The other 2 bricks of Dwarfs just move forward. And the organ gun shoots at my Oblood, the orange guy. Once again, the 1-up, 1-up, 4-up keeps him from taking any wounds. In close combat, my Scarvat kills the Dragon Slayer. And then he reforms to face the Longbeards. On my turn, my Cold Ones charge the Dragon Slayer on the left side. And I got a bunch of charges over here. The Scarvat and the Saurus Warriors both charge the Longbeards, and my Oblood charges the Quarrelers. The Cold Ones make it into the Dragon Slayer. My plan is to kill the Dragon Slayer and overrun into the Thunderers and take them out next combat phase. And these guys all make it in. My plan here is to just crush them with my superior numbers. And the Oblood doesn't take any wounds from the stand and shoot and should wipe out this unit pretty quickly. Magic phase, I throw everything at Comet, to the big one. It goes off. And I drop it right between his 2 war machines. In hand-to-hand combat, the Oblood kills 4 Dwarfs, but they're Dwarfs, so they don't run. Over here, I vastly underestimated the Longbeards. All of my attacks killed 4 of them. He put a wound on my Scarvat and killed 8 Saurus Warriors. So I lose combat, but I hold. Over here, the Dragon Slayer challenges my BSB. I don't do any wounds to him, he doesn't do any wounds to me, so we just hang out here because the Dragon Slayer is unbreakable, which sucks because now I'm right here in front of the Warriors instead of past the Warriors into the Thunders like I wanted to be. And now we're into turn 4. The Dwarf Warriors charge my Cold Ones, and they're going to hit my BSB, who is in the challenge, so they're pretty much just going to get a bunch of static res out of this. And the Hammers charge my Saurus Warriors in the flank. This is going to suck. Dwarf Warriors get in, and Hammers get in. Comet does not fall during the Dwarf Magic phase. It's up to 4 tokens now. In the combat over here, I do kill the Dragon Slayer in the challenge, and then I reform to face the warriors to try to maximize my attacks in there and hopefully take them out. This is my old blood trying to attack, and he just can't hit anything pretty much ever. The cold one did kill 2 dwarfs though, so the dwarfs still lose combat and they hold. This battle didn't go quite as well. I kill 4 more Longbeards, and he kills a whole bunch of Source Warriors. I lose combat by a ton. I'm not steadfast, and I break and run away. The Longbeards overrun the Source Warriors. Or you can see the Scarvet runs off the board. The Longbeards turn around to face the Temple Guard. So now my turn. I'm in a bad place. I take my Temple Guard and just run them forward as far as they can go. It seems crazy, but I kind of have a plan. I pull the Slan out of the unit of Skinks and move him up kind of in the middle of nowhere, but try to get him out of the range of anything coming after him. Magic phase, double 2s, and I get 1 channel, so it is 5-2. I throw all 5 dice at Walk Between Worlds. Goes off irresistibly. I don't have a picture of it, but I basically just move the Temple Guard 10 inches forward, and that puts them just out of the charge arc of the hammers. Miscast, of course, Dimensional Cascade. Big Temple comes, and Slan does not take a wound, and Slan does not fall down the hole, so this worked out pretty good. The Old Blood finishes off the Quarrelers, and he turns around to face the rest of the battle. Over here, this is not going to go well. So, Dwarf Warriors have great weapons, and I turn to face, so I put all of those Dwarf Warriors in contact with something. And they killed a lot of those things. So I killed 2 warriors. He puts a wound on my BSB and kills 5 of my cold ones. I break. That's going to pop the BSB and the standard in there, leaving 1 cold one left. And he overruns that cold one and moves forward a ridiculous for dwarfs. And we're into turn 5. It's turned suddenly very bad against the Lizardmen. So when I moved the Slan, I did not anticipate the Cold One riders dying, and I didn't see the dwarfs being where they are now. But they are here, and they can see my Slan, and they charge my Slan, and they get into his flank. That was not part of my plan. The Temple Guard, you see it move past the hammers, so he spins the hammers around to look at them again. And he spins his Longbeards around to look at my Old Blood. The comet has not fallen. No, the comet did not fall yet. It's up to 8 tokens. His organ gun shoots at my Temple Guard, who are now in range of it, and it kills 2. And then his flame cannon also shoots them. and it kills 2. So that wasn't so bad. His Dwarf Warriors do 7 wounds to my slan, and I fail 4 of my ward saves. Still alive. But I fail my break test and flee 5 inches, and he pursues 5 inches and slan. Poof. So now I've got to just find points somewhere if I'm going to even get close in this game. My Old Blood charges the Longbeards. My Beast's Priest pops out of the unit of Temple Guard and runs in front of the Hammers while the Temple Guard reform and move away to try not to get charged. My Skinks come and surround the Dwarf Warriors. And my Salamander lines up a shot against the Thunderers. Now the comet has fallen. I get, on both war machines, I roll a 10 plus 8. So 18 hits on each war machine, strength 10, and they're all gone. No more war machines. I throw the Amber Spear at the Hammers with my Beast Priest right in front of them, and I kill 3 of them. I'm not sure why I did that. There really was not much of a reason for it. Salamander misfires on his shot and eats 2 handlers. Actually, he may be in all of his handlers there. Skinks kill 3 dwarfs with and then in hand-to-hand, my Old Blood fights a challenge with the champion here and kills him. And that's all that happened. And we're now into turn 6, the end of the game. The Hammers charge my Skink Priest. The Warriors turn to face my Temple Guard. The Thunders shoot at this unit of Skinks, and they kill one of them. And the Skink Priest dies in hand-to-hand. And my Old Blood does get 3 hits, but then he can't really wound anything. And that battle just stays where it is. I run my Skink Priest out. I wanted to try to get him close to the Warriors, so maybe if I miscast and get a big template, I can do some damage to the Warriors, but I failed my March attack check, so I couldn't move that far. So I just moved him out so he can see the Thunderers and maybe throw a magic missile at him or something. I moved that unit of 4 Skinks up to also shoot the Thunderers, and I kept the other Skinks couldn't get close enough to hit the Thunderers, so they stay down and shoot at the Warriors. And in the back you see the Salamander does still have 1 handler left, and I move him up to shoot at the Thunderers too. So hopefully I can get rid of the Thunderers. I probably should have sent all the Skinks after the Thunderers last turn and just tried to pick them off. I throw Thunderbolt, goes off Irresistible, and it kills 1 Thunderer. Awesome. Template, there's a small template, hits the Priest, but doesn't actually wound him. Salamander misfires again. This time he eats the last handler, and he just becomes stupid. The 10 Skinks here maybe killed 1 warrior. And then in the hand-to-hand combat, his BSB challenges, I accept because I have to with my Old Blood. He puts a wound on the Old Blood, but I do kill his BSB. But due to static res, I actually lose combat, and I flee, but he does not roll enough to overrun me this time. It's the first time I've successfully fled from a battle, and my Old Blood does live to see another day. And that's the end of the game. So I gave up 1,690 points, and I scored 1,015 points. So I lost by over 500 points. I got decimated. And going over this again, I see I made a lot of mistakes. It was a poor battle plan even coming in to this battle. Um, One of the big mistakes I made was that I didn't start the game with Comet of Cassandora. Um, I actually rolled doubles on my Heaven's Skink Priest, so I could have taken it right off the bat. But I wanted my Slan to have it because he's level 4. So I actually took Wind Blast with my Skink just to keep the Slan from rolling Wind Blast. It didn't work out so well. If I had taken Comet right off the bat, I probably could have cast it turn 1, turn 2, and maybe taken out those cannons a little earlier. But the big mistake I made was in the middle of the game reforming my Cold Ones to face the Dwarf Warriors. After I'd killed the Dragon Slayer, the Warriors were only in base contact with my BSB, who had a 1-up save and a 4-up ward, I believe. So maybe they'd get a wound on him, but he had a better chance of surviving than just my regular Cold Ones, clearly, because they just cut through the Cold Ones like a hot knife through butter. So probably the better choice would have been not to reform, just take the flank, keep having my Cold One fight into them. Ideally, they wouldn't kill the BSB. That unit would just hold there for a while. Then he wouldn't have overrun. He wouldn't have gotten into my Slan. Potentially, if nothing else changed, that could have been a 1,000-point swing in this game. Or he could have killed the BSB. They would have fled, and he overran them, and everything would have worked the same way. So who knows? But it was a poor choice in reforming them. On the board next to me, the guy was playing a dwarf army that had 6 gyrocopters, and that was basically the whole army. So it probably could have been worse, the armies I was playing. But I learned a bunch, and hopefully I will play better in the next game.